So on Monday night we faced the first of two tricky matches away at Anfield in the space of just 3 days. In this video I preview that match. Hello, I'm Richard and welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. In this video I just want to look ahead to Monday night's big Premier League clash away at Liverpool. Just before I get into all that, I just want to make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you like what I'm doing, please click the subscribe button down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as well, because it helps it to get noticed on YouTube. And if you've got any comments about anything that I've mentioned in this video, please drop it in the comments box as well, because it's always nice to hear from you guys that are watching my videos. So Monday night then, we travel up to Anfield for probably the biggest Premier League game of the season so far, isn't it? Obviously the Premier League champions, they've won both their two opening games, and of course they beat Lincoln 7-2 in the Carabao Cup the other night. Of course we've matched that as well, winning our two Premier League games as well, and of course one away at Leicester in the Cup in midweek. Plus of course we did beat Liverpool in a Community Shield, didn't we, on penalties, which was right at the start of the season, so technically that does count as a meeting this season, doesn't it? And of course we did beat him as well at the Emirates, didn't we, towards the back end of last season, that game where we won 2-1, of course, come from behind, defended really well that particular night. So recent history is maybe on our side in terms of playing Liverpool, certainly since Mikel Arteta has been manager. Unfortunately, our recent record at Anfield is not so great, is it? We haven't won there in the last 8 visits, going back to September 2012. That 2-0 victory, if you remember, was the first goals for the club for Lucas Podolski and Santi Cazorla. Now in those eight games, last 8 games, we've actually conceded a massive 30 goals. It's been quite incredible, really, hasn't it? We've had a couple of 5-1 defeats, a 4-0 defeat. Of course, there was that 5-5 draw in the Carabao Cup last season. So, you know, we have certainly conceded far too many goals at Anfield in recent years. And that's the one thing I think we'll all be looking at for the improvements, won't we, coming up on Monday. In our favour, I suppose, you know, we have scored in 21 of our last 23 visits to Anfield. So we do tend to score there. I say it's just that we do tend to concede far too many. In terms of scoring at Anfield, actually, we did have a strange run of 10 visits between 1993 and the year 2000 across all competitions, where we only actually scored 3 times in those 10 visits, and all 3 of those goals were actually penalties from Ian Wright. So we've certainly managed to put that side of it right. Now we score a lot of goals at Anfield, and unfortunately I say we have been conceding too many. Just prior to that recent run of 8 games without a win at Anfield, we did actually go 5 unbeaten before that, and in fact it was a run of only 2 defeats there in 10. So we did have a reasonably good record at Anfield up until, I say, the last few years, where it's all gone badly wrong for us. Certainly, that's something we need to put right this time, don't we? All good and bad runs do come to an end at some point, don't they? So let's hope that bad run is now behind us and we can change that on Monday. Of course, it is the first of 2 visits within the space of 3 days, of course, but that's not the first time we've done that, is it? If you remember, in January 2007, we played Liverpool away twice in 3 days as well. The first one was in the FA Cup in the 3rd round, and we won that game 3-1. Thomas Rosicky scored twice that day, and Thierry Henry got the 3rd goal. And then, of course, a few days later, we were back in the League Cup quarter-final. That was quite an incredible game, wasn't it, where we won 6-3, if you remember. Julio Baptista scored 4 times for us that night. And Ali Adier had a great game as well, didn't he? I think he scored 1 and set up 1. I think Alex Song scored our other goal, didn't he, that night? That was an incredible game. Robbie Fowler, of course, who always seemed to score against us. I think he got a couple for Liverpool that night, didn't he? So we've got a history, at least, of winning there twice in quick succession previously. So let's hope that's a good sign, and that we can maybe repeat that again over this next week. Obviously it's going to be a big ask, isn't it? In terms of the team selection, I'm not expecting Mikel Arteta to make too many changes from the side that's been playing in the Premier League so far. Obviously 2 wins out of 2, why should he change too much? But Leno will be in goal. I think that's obvious now. He's the number 1, and he's been playing pretty well, so that's not a problem at all. I still think we'll start with a back 3 again, which has worked so far really well. I think Rob Holding will probably be on the right. It seems William Saliba still isn't quite ready, is he? And I don't think you'd throw him straight in at Anfield, would you, for his first game? Probably not. I think David Luiz will probably play in the centre, actually. He played against Leicester Obviously, that was to get minutes in his legs because he hadn't played much this season, and I think he looks ready. I thought he had a good game at Leicester. I'd expect him to keep his place, to add that bit of experience. Now, the left side centre back could be the one position where there could be a little bit of a question. Is Kieran Tierney fit? If he is, would you stick him there, or will he play him maybe left wing back? And of course, Gabriel can always drop into the left-sided centre-back as well. I do think Gabriel deserves to start the game from his first two previous performances. So we'll see what happens there. A lot of that may depend on the fitness of Kieran Tierney, of course, who had to drop out of the West Ham game, didn't he, in a warm-up last week. There's good news. It seems as though he seems to be better. So let's see what happens with that. Of course, he can also play the left wing-back role as well, couldn't he? If he was fit, so we'll see what happens there. I think the midfield, I think Hector Bellerin will start as the right-sided wing-back. I thought he did well, didn't he, when he came on at Leicester, set up the second goal, and he does look as though he's getting his old form back. For me, I think he is. I think he's playing a lot better lately. He came on the other night and did well, didn't he? So I expect him to start there. I think that the two in the centre midfield, I'd be surprised if he doesn't go with Granit Xhaka and Dani Ceballos, renewing their partnership. And then of course the left wing back, Kieran Tierney's fitness might decide that a little bit, and of course Maitland-Niles is the other one. Mikel Arteta tends to like using him in the big games, doesn't he? So I wouldn't be surprised if Maitland-Niles was to drop into that position actually, but we'll see. I think the front three will be the front three that started the two Premier League games so far. So Willian on the right, Lacazette in the centre, and Aubameyang on the left. Of course Lacazette scored in both Premier League games so far, hasn't he? So I'm sure he'll be looking to continue that run. And of course Aubameyang scored against Liverpool in the Community Shield as well, didn't he? A great goal that was as well. So that's the team selection I'm expecting. I say the only real doubt is about the left-sided centre-back and the left wing-back, depending on Kieran Tierney's availability and how Mikel Arteta wants to organise that. I think Gabriel deserves to keep his place in the back three. But we'll see what happens. That's perhaps the only doubt I've got in terms of the starting lineup. Of course, Liverpool possibly starting Thiago, won't they, as his first start, having come on at Chelsea last week at half-time and played well. I think it was quite an easy game for him to come into, wasn't it, playing against 10 men in the whole of the second half against Chelsea. He had a lot more time on the ball to spray his passes around. I'm sure he won't be afforded the same amount of time against us on Monday. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on in the real hustle and bustle of the Premier League. Predicting the score in this game is actually quite difficult, because to me it's not necessarily just about the score of this game, it's about how we play. You know, going away at Anfield has caused us a lot of problems in recent years, as I've said. So what I want to see is us go there and be really competitive, keep ourselves in the game, defend well, and I think we'll be dangerous on the counter-attack. Liverpool have conceded a few more goals this season than you would have perhaps have expected, so I think there's a little bit of a vulnerability there, and I think we've got the players on the counter-attack, of course, to make them, to punish them for that, I think. So I do think there'll be goals in the game, and I don't think it's going to be quite as one-sided as a lot of the recent games have been at Anfield when we've played against Liverpool before. I'm expecting a good game actually. I'm looking forward to it, which is unusual, because usually we go to Anfield and we're all dreading, aren't we, what the score might be, how many are we going to concede, how many are we going to lose by. That tends to be how we feel about it, but this time I don't. I feel quite excited about it. It's a great test for us, isn't it? A really big test early in the season to really see the progress that we've made under Arteta. I do think we'll be organised, set ourselves up properly, and that we go with a game plan and execute it, which I'm sure we will. With all that in mind, I do feel as though we can get a result. It might be a big ask to expect us to win. I'm not saying that we can't win, because I think we're more than capable of it. You know, we've shown that against Liverpool under Arteta in the last few months, haven't we? That we're definitely capable of beating them. So I think they're going to come into the game with a little bit of apprehension. Actually, Klopp knows Arteta's maybe got a little one over him actually in the last couple of games. So I don't know. I think there'll be goals. I think we'll be able to score against them. I think it's going to be difficult to keep a clean sheet against their front three, but we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a great game. I think we can win. I'm not going to say that we will win. I think we can win. I wouldn't be surprised if we come away with, say, a 2-1 victory. I think it's more likely to be a draw, if I'm honest. Maybe a 2-2, so I think there'll be goals in it. But, you know, even if we do lose by the odd goal, if we play well, if we give them a game, to me that's progress. That's a sign that we're moving in the right direction, because these are the sort of games, I say previously, that we've just rolled over, haven't we? So let's see what happens. I'm optimistic. I'm excited about the game, and I do think we can get a result. And if we do, imagine if we could win this game, set us up for the rest of the season. Fantastic, wouldn't it? And also as well, I think it would give hope to the rest of the Premier League as well, that maybe Liverpool won't be quite so dominant this season as they were last year as well. So I think that there's that to think about as well. And of course, you've got to play them again, haven't we, Thursday night in the Carabao Cup. I mean, I don't want to go too much into that game yet, because let's get this one out of the way first. And I don't think it's going to make any difference anyway, because I think the team selections will be completely different from both teams going into the cup game on Thursday. So that's that really on Monday night's game. Let me know what you think the lineup will be. Let me know what your score prediction is. I just want to see us play well and compete with them, and if we do that, I'll be happy regardless of the score. But if we can get a result, it'll be like, wow, that'll be unbelievable, won't it? And it could set us up for the rest of the season. And also as well, it will make people sit up and take notice maybe of Arsenal, that maybe under Mikel Arteta, Arsenal can come back to the top and challenge and be a serious team again in the Premier League, which we haven't been for a few years now, have we? So I think all this is quite important. So that's that, say, for Monday night. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, I say please give it a thumbs up. If you're liking my channel, please subscribe. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to do a live podcast now before the Liverpool game. I'll try and squeeze one in between Monday and Thursday at some point. Again, that's going to be tricky. There's lots going on at the minute, lots of games coming up, lots going on in the world as well. So we'll see what happens. I'll try and get some stuff in, but I'll still be putting preview videos on Monday night as well. I'll be doing a pre-match video with the team news, a half-time report, a full-time report, and then probably on Tuesday a full in-depth review of the match. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you guys soon. And of course, in the meantime, big week for Arsenal this. Come on, you Gunners!